What's up, Blueroof Nation, and welcome to yet another new show on the Blueroof Network. I'm your host, Jonathan Goodhines, and this is a year in comics. I kind of started this a little bit on Uncanny Fans. I don't know, all our listeners, if you don't, the link to Uncanny Fans will be in the descriptions below. Go listen to our podcast. It's beautiful. If you don't want to listen to it, you can watch as me and Devon do it live on this channel. Yo, subscribe. Hey, but this one, but basically what the show is, A Year in Comics, is originally it was just Marvel Comics. I was going year by year in Marvel Comics and talking about what happened. I thought if I was going to do a YouTube show, I should probably expand a bit. Take it a step back and just do comics in general. Now, I was debating whether or not I should start in 1938 with Action Comics #1. Hey! Nice to be. Hey! But I thought, you know what, let's go a little bit further back than that. Let's go to the birth of comic books. Now, obviously, comic strips and the newspapers what started everything, and you got like big ones that had influentialness that were like blah blah. Obviously, comic strips and newspapers started it all, and you had some that were so influential that it gave way to comic books. Obviously, you know, like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, stuff like that. But we're sticking strictly comic books here. So this episode is actually going to cover a couple years, because the early days, not a whole lot happened. Not really anything to talk about, right? So we're going to start in the year 1929. Now, in this year, a company called Dell Publishing came out with a book named The Funnies. It was basically, the way it was described was the Sunday comic strips without the rest of the newspaper. It was just some funny stuff that came out, you know? It lasted 36 issues, and it came out every Saturday. So not even a full year. Because there's, what, 52 weeks, 36 episodes, issues. It was just shy of a year. But that was kind of the first comic book, you know? So it ended in 1930. We jumped to 1933, and a company called Eastern Color Printing jumps into the fray. They come up with a comic book called Golf Comic Weekly. It had funny little stories. It was more of a tabloid than a comic book, but it was kind of a comic book. It was comic book-esque. And it quickly changed this name to Golf Funny Weekly. Now this company is important because the following year, in 1934, they came up with a book called Famous Funnies. And this is what a lot of historians regard as the first comic book. Now this is stuff that I looked up for the podcast. I did not know this stuff ahead of time. My knowledge kind of starts with Action Comics, and I'm just like, oh shit, there was stuff that came out before Action Comics, which I knew there was, but it's cool, you know? So, yeah, they came out with Famous Funnies in July of 1934. It skipped August, but come September it became a monthly, like how we know comic books now. So that was kind of the one that jump-started the whole thing. That's pretty much all I have for this episode. Like I said, it's a really short episode. I think that all the episodes are going to be kind of short, at least until 1938. Now, maybe next week I'll cover a couple years again, if it's as short as these couple years, but I'm just trying to get us to, I don't know, my goal is I really want to talk about when the Supreme Court was looking on comics and the comic code, and get to Stan Lee and get to like Neil Adams, and that's the stuff that I want to talk about. The stuff that I grew up loving and learning about, but in order to get there, you gotta pay dues to who came before and what got you there. So this was 1929 to 1934, and hope you guys join me next week.